how to be consistent in anything. So if you're just joining, type where you're joining in from in the comments. And I'm excited to meet every single person that would be joining this live session and would also be watching the recording after I'm done with this live. So this is very important, right? This is a very interesting topic that I know a lot of persons are like, how do you get consistent with doing stuff? Because sometimes it can be very easy to get distracted into doing other things. Or say, for example, you can, buy a book, go through the stress of buying a book and starting the book, say, just read it 2 hours, and the next day you read it like 1 hour, and the next day start to get boring. And before you know it, you just get to this state where you no longer feel interested in wanting to continue with the book which you have started. Or maybe you subscribed for a gym membership and you went there for the first couple of days and it felt exciting. And after a while, you're just like, what, why continue with this thing, right? And then, of course, as humans, you find ways to give like logical explanations as to why you just cannot continue. Or the most popular one, which is when you buy a course or you start taking a course, and at the beginning, you're excited about it. You even post about it on social media. Oh, I just started this course on XYZ. Now, 1 week has passed and you've abandoned that course. How can you get consistent? Or maybe it's even a skill that you're trying to learn. Say a writing skill, a graphic design skill, a video editing skill, a AI prompting skill, or whatever that it is, right? How do you get consistent? So first off, before we get into how to be consistent, and I share a couple of strategies that is going to be helpful to bringing you from a state of when you're always getting into things and dropping off halfway to a state where you are always consistent all through whatever you decide to do. So by the end of this video, if you follow through, you will learn how to stay consistent in anything that you decide that you're going to be consistent in. Sounds exciting, right? Let's get into it. So first off, consistency. Consistency is or was originated, from around the late 16th century. Yeah. From the Latin word consistentia, right? Consistentia. And it simply means standing together or standing firm, right? Standing together or firmness of matter. Yeah, firmness of matter. So that's what that root word actually means. So why is this important, right? The act of consistency is you being able to do something long enough to achieve a certain result. And it's always long enough. Sometimes in consistency, you get to do certain things that you don't have to do forever. Other times, there are things that you need to do that you just have to do for a couple of days or a couple of weeks or a couple of months till you change to something else. So consistency can be in something that you're going to do lifelong, right? Okay, or you want to be consistent in cutting out some kind of, junk foods or junk foods from your hygiene or from your health habits, okay? So how do you do that? So the first thing that I'm going to share is focus. Most of the times, a lot of persons do not become consistent because they've already had a poor foundation, which is they don't even know exactly what they want to achieve or what exactly is the core aim of what they want to be consistent with. You can't be consistent with everything at the same time. That's just a formula for failing even before you get started. So there has to be some level of focus. What exactly it is that you want to get consistent in. You have to get to that point of focus. And yet the interesting thing about focus is that focus creates blindness. Focus means that there are certain things that are going to be eliminated because this is what you've chosen to do. And you really have to get to that point, to that state where you're like, okay, because I want to be consistent in writing for this duration of time, at the same time, I cannot be writing, I cannot be reading 10 books a day, I cannot be what else? I cannot be watching this kind of videos. I cannot be watching TV 6 hours a day because of this is what I want to get done. Or even more over, I can say I will not do any other thing until I'm able to do this thing first. So that focus, you being able to clearly state what it is that you want to get consistent in. The next thing is to know the what and the why. So knowing what exactly is the what, right? Knowing decisively what it is that you want to do is the what. But also knowing the why is also very important, because the why serves as a pull that pulls you on those days when you do not feel like doing the thing. Because most times what happens is that at first we feel like doing it, we're excited. There's just this excitement to want to get, over with something. But it gets to a point where maybe something else happens and you don't feel so good. That is where you need that why. And that why needs to be a strong enough compelling reason as to why you are doing what it is that you want to do. So know the what, know the why. This formulates what is the focus. So the first step to getting consistent is having a focus on what it is that you want to do. The next thing is healthy living. I know when we talk about consistency, you're like, how does healthy living, have to do with being consistent? I will show you. So first off, how you feel most times has a lot to do with your hormones, has a lot to do with your body system, right? If you do not feel well, to an extent, you cannot do well. Jim Rohn put it this way that, you are excited, you wake up in the morning, your mind wants to go crush some goals, but your body can't even get out of bed. That's what happens when your body isn't healthy enough. When you don't feel well bodily, you can't do well, right? So nutrition, pay attention to nutrition, pay attention to your intake, your food. What kind of food do you take in? We have different classes of food in terms of protein, carbohydrates, minerals, fats, water, and all of that, and vitamins, right? To ensure that you have a portion of all this in your meal during the course of the day. And this helps to keep you balanced, mentally and body wise, because there's a relation between how your nutrient level in your body can affect your mental state. And this is why you see sometimes when people travel from countries where they are mostly in summer and they go to country where they are mostly in winter, they start to get into a state of depression because of lack of sunlight. All of these little things that sometimes you do not get to pay attention to plays a major role to how productive you can be as a person. So pay attention to your health habits. In fact, as men, you even going to the gym or exercising or lifting weights has a way it contributes to your ability to want to go after goals, to want to get things done, to want to be productive. So you have to pay attention to your health, living healthy. Okay. So the next thing that I'm going to share in how to be consistent is you need to start simple. I see a lot of people make these mistakes where they want to do something and the first thing that they are doing is to write 500 things that they want to do at the same time. That's already a formula for failure. You want to start, even if the goal is to be able to read one book per week. You may want to start with one book per month, especially if you don't have interest for reading before that time, or you are not a reading kind of person. So start simple. Instead of doing I'm going to read 2 hours per day, you can start with reading one chapter or reading 10 minutes a day, and just start with that, right? Start with that and upgrade, over time, instead of, bombarding yourself with so much amount of that task that you want to get done. Instead of saying I want to, write every single day, write a chapter or write a book, you can start with writing a page, right? You can even start with journaling your day, just journal one page. Having to start little gives you this soft landing that, okay, this is something I can actually do. And when you think about it, even on days when you don't feel like it, you're just like, just 5 minutes doing this, then I'll be fine, right? So sometimes I even use this myself, right? I use this a lot, right? So a lot of things that I'm doing now, I started, at a very simple plane, and then I increase it over time. There are days when I want to do workouts, and I'm like, having to go through all the reps and everything. So I just tell myself, you know what, let me just do it for just 5 minutes. And by the 50 minutes, I'm like, you know what, let's go in, let's do it, because you're already inside the activity, right? So start simple, very important. After you start simple, the next thing that you want to do is to create systems of accountability. And this can be in multiple ways. It can be you having a friend who you have shared your desired activity with to check up on you and to ask you questions or to ensure that you follow through. And it can also be an alarm, right? That you set and say, okay, by 3 p.m. every day, ring to remind me if I've read the amount or the pages of book I said I'm going to read every single day. So even when you forget, because sometimes, this has happened to me in time past where I really wanted to do something. I told myself I was going to do something, and then I absolutely forgot about it. Till the next time, I'm like, oh my God, this kind of thing. So set alarms, have people that check up on you. It can be a person, it can be a community that you've shared your goals with, like, I'm going to do this thing, so help me follow up to know how far I'm going through with this activity, with this task that I've set for myself. Sometimes you can even raise it a bit and say, okay, if it's going to be something like a book, so you can say, every evening, we'll get on a call and I'll share with you what I learned in the pages that I read today. So that way, when you're getting towards evening, you're already like, oh my God, I need to do this thing so that I have something to share when it gets to the time of the call. Okay, the idea is to just build multiple systems, multiple structures, that if one layer fails, if your battery is dead, that your alarm couldn't ring, then the person who you shared it with will be able to check up on you, right? So have systems of accountability. Type it in the comments, systems of accountability. So the next thing is to reward your efforts. And this is one thing that has helped me so much, right? There are days where I don't want to do a particular thing that I've, told myself I'm going to do, but because I'm really looking forward to the reward, I go ahead with it. One time I was given a task not to watch movie for a couple of months, and at first, right, it looked like an impossible task, but I got used to it. And in the times where I feel like, I just want to go ahead and watch a movie, I told myself that, you know what, when I'm done with this duration, I'm going to get myself a gift. So that kept me going at just wait a bit, you can do this, you can do this. Having a system of reward has a way of influencing your subconscious in such a way that when you're able to accomplish that goal, when you're able to delay instant gratification, and you are able to um, thank you, Perpetua. Yeah, so you're able to go ahead with that task to the point where you accomplish that set activity that you wanted to be consistent in. What happens is that it registers in your subconscious that if I can do this one, then I can do something else. So when you're trying to embark on another task that you want to be consistent in, there's just somewhere in your subconscious that reminds yourself that you can do this, knowing fully well that if you are able to accomplish this as well, there will be a reward at the end of the tunnel. I guess that's the idea of, light being at the end of the tunnel. The light at the end of the tunnel, is a system of hope that tells you that don't worry, you are getting close. Don't worry, you will soon get out of this tunnel. So having a reward in front of you that you are looking at also gives you that hope that don't worry, once you get through this. In fact, in the Bible, it says that Jesus, for the hope of the crown that was set before him, endured the cross. So what reward do you have in front of you that when I finally achieve or become consistent in doing this, then that I am going to get a reward? And sometimes when it's a very long, consistent effort, you want to set milestones. Say, for example, you started out with reading 5 minutes a day. And when you increase it to 30 minutes and you've been consistent, you can reward yourself at that time. Okay, you've done it long enough, you've done it for a while, and you've been consistent. Kudos. So you give yourself a reward, you can get yourself a gift, you can go out with friends to, or you can go out alone by yourself just to, celebrate your win that, okay, I've achieved this milestone up over, or let's go on to the next, right? So that is very, very important. And lastly, I would say if you are to get consistent in anything, I'll just give like an example. Say, for example, your goal is to be consistent in learning a particular skill. What you can do is to first decide what skill is that. So now I'm going to give you like a rundown of everything. What skill is that I want to get good at? So let's say graphic design. Okay, so you've known that this is what you want to do, and this is what you're focusing on. You're not doing graphic design, video editing, website design at the same time. No, graphic design. So one thing, it's okay to have a stack of different things that you're doing to be consistent, but it is also advisable that you start with one and get consistent with that one, then before you move on to adding others, get consistent and move on and all of that. So you start with graphic design, you know what it's going to be like, then you also know what your typical distractions are like, and you exclude it from the things that you're going to do. So it's just like having a to-do list in this era. In this era, you don't just need just a to-do list, you also need a not to-do list. You must have, itemize those things that easily distract you. Let's say you go on YouTube to watch an educational video on something, and as you open YouTube, you see a short and it's so interesting and it catches your attention, and before you know it, you're already swiping, and you spend 30 minutes just swiping, right? So you want to do a reverse engineering of that whenever I go on YouTube to learn a video, I'm not swiping anything. So you make it an intentional effort. So after you know what you want to do, ensure that you're eating right, ensure that, and eating right does not mean eating 3 square meals, by the way. You can be eating once in 2 days, because I know someone who eats once in 2 days and you still be healthy, right? but there is a strategy around that. There's you don't just go ahead and eat one solid food in 2 days. Of course, there are things around that, right? So maybe they could be taking smoothie or juice, at intervals or other things to keep them energized during the course of that duration. So please, if you want to, go that extreme, consult and know what exactly that you're doing, But all I'm saying is ensure that you're eating well and you're healthy enough to be productive. Right? Take care of your body. Go for a walk if you are always someone who go from office to your house, from your house to your office, like driving, you just have to find a way to break out of that cycle and exercise your body. Okay. Then after that, the next thing is making it simple, start simple. So you can say, okay, I'll start with watching 30 minutes video on graphic design, and then I'm going to practice for another 30 minutes, right? And just start with that. It's as simple as it is. Of course, simple does not really or always mean that it will always be easy, but simple means that you know exactly what you need to do. And to an extent, it's also easy than having to have a lot of things that you don't even know where to start from. So if you have to think about it too much before doing it, it becomes difficult, right? So start simple. Okay, checking the comments. Yeah, it's well, it's well. Thank you. Okay, so start simple, right? And the next thing is tell a friend. So tell a friend about it, set alarms to remind you to do that thing, to learn that skill every day. So you can tell yourself every 10 a.m. in the morning, I'm going to first watch a video and then practice for the next 30 minutes. Set alarms, tell a friend, or share with a couple of friends to keep you accountable to learning and finishing that skill. And then after having that system of accountability, then reward yourself, right? You've gone this far, you've started doing some basic design things that you couldn't do before, right? Give yourself a reward, get yourself a gift, buy something good, go out, take yourself out. And so this sums up being consistent as a person. I know it sounds easy, it sounds simple, but if you follow these steps, you see how consistent you will be in anything that you decide to do. So if you have any questions, drop in the comments. Let me know in the comments which of these points stood out for you the most. Focus, healthy living, starting simple, having a system of accountability, and rewarding your efforts. So let me know. That also reminds me, I recently put together a playbook on how you can monetize your WhatsApp. And this is something that is born out of, personal experiences of having to monetize my WhatsApp chats and contacts, and if it's something that you're interested in, which I believe you will be, just use the link in the description of this video to join the waitlist group. And also, like, you would know if you're following me on any of the social media platforms, HANGOUT with Aisosa 4.0 is coming up next month. Yay! So this edition is going to be, more unique, more exclusive, with a lot of packages, right? You can grab your tickets. We have 3 ticket slots. You can grab your ticket with the link in this video. Okay. Yeah, and also I have a community, right? Successful Living Africa. If you're not in that community, use the link also in this video description to join the community where we get to engage and have live sessions and help people build a successful life? So let me check the comments. Let me see what we have. Okay. Okay, Perpetua says eat well so you are healthy enough to be productive. Exactly. Starting simple, reward yourself. I'm coming to eat well. Yeah, thank you so much for joining. So I'm only seeing Perpetua. Shout out to Perpetua. Drop your comment. I want to see if you are live on this. Okay, I'm seeing Divada rewarding myself. Okay, that's what stood out for you. That's awesome, amazing. Who else again? I know that there are more people on this live, but I can't see your comments at the moment. Anyways, that's it, guys. Thank you for joining this live session. I wanted it to be as short as possible. Do well to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Yes, if you have not, if this is your first time joining my live session, you're welcome. You're very much welcome. Don't worry, we'll share small chops in the comment section. Yeah, and do well to subscribe to this YouTube channel and turn on the notification bell. If you have any questions too, you can drop in the comments and I will do well to respond as soon as I can. That's it for today. Bye.